I know somebody, auntie, she didn't want to come here. Her son put the doorbell around her neck every time she needed them because they were busy. And I said, auntie, you got a doorbell in your neck, round her neck. Pressing that button and calling her son and daughter-in-law to see her. I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
This project started all the way back in August 2016.
The services weren't fully serving the full scope of Compton's community. As we're serving one of the most diverse communities in the country, it was really important to me that we really looked at why don't they access services and what can we do to enable that.
In November 2018, we appointed Karen Jutler. This was a moment for us where things started to move.
I've actually been researching and investigating and exploring the care needs of people from the South Asian community for, I think, just over 10 years. So when I heard that the Big Lottery Community Fund had funded Compton Care to carry out some work to increase community engagement, I was really, really pleased because this project is something that will inform every palliative care organisation in the UK. This is a real chance to go out and talk to people, have conversations, do some road shows, go into shops and talk to them, speak to people passing by in the street. As an academic and in research, we're really held back by that kind of work, whereas I just get to be let loose on this one and talk to as many people as possible. This is making sure that we give people a platform to tell their story. We can't do everything and we do need to manage expectations. We're against the clock. I just finished a research project looking at engaging with people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities, and we developed a toolkit. The first thing was to develop an expert advisory group. The purpose of today, obviously, to give you a bit of background again, but to mainly update you on activities. In the rushes of things, it's very easy to be sat in an office and make decisions. But if you can bring people in and have a group like this who are out there doing the work and part of the community to get that guidance, it's really, really important because you've just been absolutely pivotal in steering this project and we've followed your guidance all the way.
Even the GPs don't take notice sometimes, when you go and say so-and-so is saying I've been having this problem.
But that's a wide-scale problem.
Absolutely,
generally,
yeah.
isn't it?
But still, it links in with the later stage,
It's true. I mean, people are saying to us, well, we don't know about this, but should my GP have told me?
That's where the trust goes. And I think we need to also raise awareness with health authorities on this matter as well.
I do my job because I'm passionate about providing a service for people that they will benefit from. And I want everybody to be able to access that service. And for me, the barriers I come across in terms of reaching some of the communities, particularly the South Asian community, it makes it so difficult for me to get the services out there, and then obviously the people can't access the service if they don't know about it or understand it. Do you know anything about Compton Care?
I don't understand.
You don't understand me, so you...
Not properly speaking English.
Not too good English. I'm off to a local radio station to connect with an Asian audience, but I do know that this is going to have its difficulties. Thank you for having me. We've got a number of services. We have our inpatient unit with 18 beds for respite care, pain management and symptom control. We have our day therapies unit to help people live well with their condition. Complementary therapies, our compassionate communities team, bereavement information hubs, Cafe Neuro for people with neurological conditions, and we've got motor neurone disease, coffee and chat, so we're getting our reach out to the community also. Sometimes you can translate, but it comes across for me unnatural because the flow of the conversation gets lost. So what you're trying to say and convey, you have to keep stopping. You can get a little bit tense and anxious then because you want people to understand what you're saying to them, but you also want to understand what they're saying to you.
The roadshows already happen as part of the Compassionate Communities initiative. But now we're going to take the road shows to the areas where we think there might be a lot of South Asian people. We begin our roadshow in Bilston Town Centre, and I quickly learn that there's one challenge in my way, preventing me from listening to others speak of their stories. Can I just borrow 2 minutes of your time? Are you in a rush? Okay. Excuse me, can I just have 2 minutes of your time? I'm not selling anything. Honestly, it's Spot the Asian. With the help of an advisory group member, we're able to kickstart conversations.
She'll come in 5 minutes here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It becomes apparent that there's a simpler reason as to why many South Asian people may not use free palliative care services.
ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਤਾ ਇੰਨਾ ਹਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਆਇਆ ਕੁਝ ਸਾਡੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਤਾ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ
Do you think there are any challenges in the community?
I honestly don't know about the services you're offering.
Compton Care, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਸੁਣੀ?
Compton, the old people?
Unfortunately, it's got to come out of your own pocket.
Yeah,
So that's part of the reason as well. Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
Compton
okay.
Care's a free
Really?
service. Yeah.
Government sponsored?
Yeah, it's charity.
Really?
So we do a lot
Okay,
of our
that's new to me.
fundraising. It's really easy from a service perspective to think it's taboo, but actually a lot of these people don't know who Compton Care actually are and what they do.
I know my mother had a cancer. That time, I didn't know anything about Compton. And my mum was home with me, and she lasted 6 months. I went through depression that time because I didn't have any help. I didn't know I could get the Compton Hospice to come and help me. Yeah. I didn't get any help from any social workers. Or nobody came to help me.
There are real effects of lack of information. This was reaffirmed by a visit to the Vaisakhi Mela, a yearly event that sees a large congregation of Sikh people amongst other communities.
My father was quite ill 3 years ago, and he died of kidney failure, heart failure, and we weren't really aware of the facilities and the kind of support that we could get from individuals and where to find that support. So unfortunately he just passed away at home, and I don't think we gave him as much support as a family we could have done.
The consequences of not having a service, or not using a service, or not knowing of a service for an entire family. I mean, the guy lost his father. So it must be horrible to sit and live with, I should have known this and I could have done that. And things like that really move me. And they really touch me because I know what that feels like to just not have any support, very little support from your community. Like he said, when you're in a time of distress, when things are really tough, you're not thinking. You do need people to come walking through your door.
ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੀ ਆ ਲੈਕ ਆਫ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਆਏ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਲਿਟਰੇਚਰ ਦਿਓਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਉਹ ਸੁੱਟ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਆਦਤ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਪੋਸਟ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਲੀਫਲੈਟਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੱਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹੋਣੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਸ ਅਰੇਂਜ ਕਰਨੇ ਪੈਣਗੇ
To be honest, reading the leaflet at a time of distress is the last thing you really want, and I think it's that one-to-one personal touch that which makes a huge difference.
It hasn't been an organisation that hasn't involved communities as well as it could do. We could all do better.
And how could we do that then?
Could we do events like this? Fantastic. Come into the community, right, and do more of that activity.
It is about partnerships, and there's a lot of working groups in Wolverhampton, and there are a lot of partnerships. It would be really useful if we came together and just provided the knowledge really.
It's really tough. Young people really run from you, especially when they see a camera.
I had 2 aunties over the last couple of years that passed away. They were on palliative care at home, and the nurses came out, and the help that they provided was unreal. They were a godsend. And I think the Muslim community need to understand exactly what you do, what's available to them. And I think community leaders, members, they need to take more responsibility and engage with yourselves.
can't ask people to talk if I don't talk myself. I've been in a lot of the situations that I suppose people using Compton Care services have been in. And that support wasn't there from the community. I'm just keen to change it, really.
4 years ago, I diagnosed with breast cancer. I found like somebody stabbed me, feel sharp pain in my chest. Just 3 weeks after my mother passed away with the same illness, ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਲਚਰ ਬੈਰੀਅਰ ਬ੍ਰੌਟ ਅਪ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵਾ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਡ ਬੈਕ ਕਰਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਆ ਉਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਤੋਂ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਦੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੇਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ
There's stigma attached to it, isn't there? Of actually sort of your peers going into care and really they expect you to look after them rather than be put into care.
It seems for a lot of people like a sort of weakness, and it's not a weakness. It's something that can happen to any of us sooner or later.
They say that they've been impregnated by other devils, and they'll do everything they can to hide it.
When she first came here, a lot of people start phoning us, telling us she's come to Hospice. That's the place where the people go and they don't come back. I was told that. I said, no, that's not true. She will come back. And she did. This is 6 times she's been here.
Who was saying that to you?
Other people, like up in Gurdwara in Temple. People like that.
People from the
I heard
temple.
people saying, oh, she's down there, she's not going to come back. Life. But she did. Because they give her the right medicine. And she gets better. I don't know, she gets better, I'm telling the truth. Yeah.
The South Asian community is known to keep things to themselves. There's a need to portray an image of well-being, and that's not me being biased or giving my own personal opinion. What I'm telling you is evidence-based. What do you think we can do to change that?
Change, I think, educate people.
I don't think it's so much a stigma as much as knowing exactly what the services can provide, but also we do have to respect each individual's own personal desire, whether they wish to take up the services or not. So it's a code of respect as well.
It's a huge stigma in our culture, and one that I think is right, personally. I know everybody has their own choices and everybody has their own views, but for me it was really important, regardless of what Dad said, it was really important for us to be able to look after him at home in his own environment. I think being able to look after someone like that is one of the biggest blessings that you can be given. But it's okay for me to say, I want to keep Dad at home and me and Mum will sort it out, but actually me and Mum couldn't have done it on our own. Unless you're in that situation, you're not fully aware of the services that are out there. Dad had all the care that he would have got had he been in the hospice, but in his own house with the people that he loves around him.
You know, I'll give you an example. When we opened a daycare in Wolverhampton for Asian elderly, and everybody was reluctant to use it. They were embarrassed. We are not going to use that. People will talk about it. I think there was a stigma attached to it that they send their elders to daycare. But myself and Winnie worked hard to develop that service by approaching one-to-one people from the different background. Explain that it's not a charity, it's not you earned it.
People like you going out there, speaking to them directly, making them aware, it's communicating the message, getting it across.
Been working with the Shanti Project, trying to help people within the Punjabi and the Sikh community with alcohol-related issues. When I came into the post, we did have problems with people engaging, people coming forward to use the services. In my first week in my post, I asked my boss and I said, look, you've got to give me social media. And I'm quite proud to say that alcohol dependency is not so much of a stigma anymore. Right? It is acceptable. Why is it acceptable? Because we've brought it into everybody's homes, everybody's households, everybody's phones, everybody's tablets, everybody's TVs. It's only a stigma when you don't allow it into your lives. When we've said that this is not going to go away, this is the reality, right? And you have to accept it. That's when the stigma and the taboos and everything else go away. Stigmas and taboos, they breed on non-acceptance. And with acceptance comes solutions.
I do know what it's like to live with and love somebody who is approaching their end of life without them even knowing it, and losing them before they've even gone, in the mental sense, before their physical form has gone. Do you think there's any barriers, like being a Sikh yourself, about using services like that?
Not really, because I think we're going to be open about it.
Would you like to be on my documentary? I'm just a bit disheartened that I didn't get as much buy-in from the younger community. It's almost like they're a bit scared to give an opinion. We're over in Phoenix Park today in Blakenhall, and one of the reasons I actually wanted to come here is because I've been told that quite a few men gather up in Phoenix Park and relax and socialise. And there's actually a group of them just over there. ਸਾਡੇ community 'ਚ ਹੈ ਨਾ Compton Care ਘੱਟ use ਕਰਦੇ ਆ।
ਕਈਆਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਰਡ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਨੇ ਵੀ
ਇਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ
ਜ਼ਿਆਦੇ ਆ।
Just a question for you, actually. I don't know how much of the South Asian community that you've managed to speak to, but how did they grasp the idea of somebody offering quality of life?
It's difficult to try and get that message across. We was at the Guru Teg Gurdwara, and I was there with my stand and I got all my information there, but actually they weren't conversing with me because our language barrier. They couldn't understand me and what I was trying to explain about Compton, and they couldn't make me understand what they're asking me.
Within each Gurdwara you need a champion.
A champion.
People will not come to you.
But if we could...
If someone's there and they hear that there's someone going off, they can say right straight away, let's go and offer the service from within the community, and that's no disrespect.
No, gosh,
but that's how it works.
Champions and ambassadors would be fantastic, but I have to say, a worker from the South Asian background with a South Asian background would be an absolute dividend for us. It would massively benefit us to be able to get our reach further into the South Asian community.
I think what we've got is a very cosmopolitan communities that we serve here in the public sector, and ultimately what we haven't got a lot of is culturally competent staff that can actually raise the awareness of what services are out there.
Is it not understanding? No? You got good English? Not very good English. Oh, can you do it for me? Oh, okay then. So I was just saying I'm from Compton Care.
What strikes me, being in this field for like nearly 10 years now, is that the service uptake is still relatively low. And from the outside, we're still saying it's because of language barriers.
That doesn't have to be a linguistic thing. I think it's more about empathy. You know, when somebody wants help, you could talk to them in Chinese. It doesn't make any difference. The language of compassion, the language of empathy, the language of care outshines any other language.
It's clear that language is a barrier in outreach work, but Tubbsy suggests that this needn't be an issue when in care. So I've come to Compton Care's day therapies to find out if speaking the language of compassion overcomes any language barrier that comes their way.
We had a patient that had a diagnosis of motor neurone disease, which left him unable to verbally communicate his needs. So he was becoming very frustrated, wasn't he? And he felt like he'd lost his voice. So we tried communication boards, books, hadn't we? Apps. And then one day we just thought, why don't we use Scrabble tiles? So we gave him a set and he would respond by spelling out a word, and then from that his family brought Scrabble tiles, something as simple as that, and he was able to communicate with healthcare professionals, his wife, his children, all through just a simple thought. It's sometimes just thinking outside the box.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
overcomplicate
Yeah.
things, don't we? And we try to find solutions that, and actually it's as simple as that.
Even she doesn't know English. She's got a lot of friends. When they see a name on the door, Roop's back, Roop's here.
ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੋਰੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਗੱਜ 'ਚ ਜੱਫੀਆਂ ਪਾ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਰੂਪ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨਾ
Does she make
ਅਟਣ ਵੀ
friends
ਜਿੱਦਾਂ
here?
ਕਿਤੇ ਖਰੇ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਲਣ ਆ ਗਈ ਆ
One person in particular became like a friend to Dad. So yeah, we've lost Dad, but the person from Compton has also lost a friend to a degree. They got to know my dad. And how many friends do they lose? How many people do they see? It must be a really difficult job for them.
One of our ladies' dreams was she always wanted to be dressed in a sari. So we had a group come in of ladies who showed us how to dress in a sari. And I had to show my fatty bits. And then it was kick, walk.
I couldn't even get one on.
And it made her day. She thought she was marvellous. Yeah. But unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, she did die. But we knew we'd made, a dream come true.
Where's the younger generation? I'm so confused. They don't want to speak to me about it too much, and they don't particularly want to talk on camera either. They're quite shy. And
that amazes me, really.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit like, but why? And like, no.
हो सकता उन्होंने उसकी समझ ना हो गई समझे ना जब तक बंदे ने समझ ना हो ना
They don't understand what it is.
No, but even when they do, they don't want it. It's like they're scared. They're डरते नहीं मैं कुछ गलत कह रहा हूँ ना कैमरा पे
क्या भी जरूरत आ गया
In 2001, my brother sadly passed away. And my father didn't take it very well, obviously, and he became quite unwell and developed quite complex mental and physical health needs towards the end of his life. And naturally, as his daughter, as any child would, I looked after him.
And I remember turning up to one of my supervision meetings for my PhD, and my supervisor saying to me, "You okay, Karen? You look a bit tired." And I explained what I had to do the day before and the night before and I hadn't slept much. And she said to me, "Oh, you're a carer." And that was the first time I had heard that term being used to reference me.
And that got me thinking, how many other people are there out there in similar situations, caring for their parents naturally without using services? And what do parents think about this?
It's in the Asian culture, right? They don't want to, people can come and say, right, you can look after them, right, in the hospital or in the old people home, right, So this is the main thing.
Some women, I heard it, children don't care, but children have run their own life as well. They have to work.
For the kids then to seek out help outside, that seems as a sort of treason almost, and I think that's what the clash is happening as well.
Parents ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੇਅਰ ਹੋਮ 'ਚ ਨਾ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਆਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ that's true. ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੇਅਰ ਹੋਮ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਣਾ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੈੱਡ ਰੀਡਨ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਫਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ।
ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਲੋਕ ਘਰ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਂਭਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੇਟੇ, I know that. Our culture is difficult to say. They say we want to look after our parents and all that. I think this is the best place. If something like this happened to me, I will tell my kids, send me down there, I'll be fine. They don't need to come to visit me either.
I said to my daughter, I said, don't be a superwoman. You got my permission. You can take me into care, and then you have time for yourself.
Either we stay where we currently are with our parents and the older generation, or we break through that stigma and we explain them that we are taking our responsibility serious, but that we are taking care of them via professional ways.
ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਸ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਵੀ ਕੰਡੀਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਦੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਉਮਰ ਦਾ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਉਮਰ ਦਾ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਝਾਓਗੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਮਝ ਜਾਣਗੇ
We're living in a social media world now. We're living in a new generation. The older generation comes with different ways of working, ways of engaging compared to the younger generation. That link is a bit distinctive. We need some melding together.
I'm second generation. First generation has a completely different mindset. And I see the third generation has a different mindset. I'm sort of stuck in between. It's actually getting that balance right, isn't it? Being able to sort of connect the two generations together. You've almost got to be the gateway to do that.
Generation change, time to time, generation change. You can't go to back, old age. Generation change, time to time, you got to change.
These guys are out in the open, in fresh air, socialising, sitting together, and that's their networking. And I was just stood there thinking, we're on social media, we connect via Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter, and we're on WhatsApp, and we're in WhatsApp groups. Like, there's a real version of a WhatsApp group. It's quite refreshing to see. I actually think the younger generation, we've got some things to learn from these guys.
It can be quite daunting to be clamped in a wheelchair in the back of a vehicle. So to help them relax and enjoy the journey, I create playlists for our patients. And one lady, she couldn't think of anything. And then one day, she said, I know what I want you to play. And I said, yeah, okay. And she asked me to play Tom Jones, You Can Leave Your Hat On, and shared a very intimate story with me that herself and her husband used to dance to You Can Leave Your Hat On, and he used to always wear a hat. And finishing that, she said that we aren't just all old people. So I think that was a nice thing to capture, that she was a young woman once and she was sharing those moments with me.
We're getting to the point of data saturation, where we're beginning to hear the same views over and over. In the academic world, data saturation indicates that it's time to stop talking to people. But I still want to know what young people think. However, the chances of finding young views are looking bleak in Wolverhampton city centre, our final roadshow. Every roadshow we've done, we've struggled to talk to younger people. It's the only thing missing. You know, when we thought that we would have trouble with the Muslim community and the Gujarati community. We've got in there. Little did we realise that we'd actually struggle to talk to younger people.
You know how right.
And that was the highlight of our day. Hello. Do you know who Compton Care are?
No.
I'm making a documentary about the views of Sikhs, Muslims and Hindus in Wolverhampton about using services like Compton Care. We've managed to get older people's points of views, but
I'm just sharing my views to you without it being recorded.
Yeah, what I can do is blur your face.
We could do your back so that we can't see your face. I'm not really passionate about this, but if you want to get some sort of answer, I'll give it to you. Let's be honest, it is a dead end. And the future, you know, there's no chance of them surviving. You'd want to spend as much time as you can with them. With that person. So therefore, you wouldn't want to use like an external care company or put them in a different place or have someone else show them love.
A lot of Asians live for the people. You're trying to prove yourself your whole life, and what happens at the end of the day anyway, whether it's good or bad, people are going to talk bad about you anyway.
So do you think part of the reasons that people aren't coming forward is to maintain that identity, the image that they've created?
Ultimately, the identity is purely ego.
They feel their ego might be dented a bit.
It's really interesting how you've mentioned ego from a younger person's perspective. Do you think that's filtering out though with the younger generation, with your generation?
I don't think it is.
Really?
I think it's actually getting worse.
Okay. Really?
Because with social media, you have to live up to a certain standard. And it puts like a strain on you that it's not even a necessity. I think the only challenge is stigma. It's not even, paying for it or anything like that. It's just what will the neighbours think, or what will your friends or your family think, that you can't be I would say I'd use the word bothered. You're not bothered to look after your family member. And that, I'm sorry that I think I'm trying to hint it towards to the elderly, but I know that younger people can be in situations like that. Now imagine if there's like a mother and a father, and someone goes to them that you can't be bothered to look after your son or your daughter.
How do we reach out to the younger generation?
I personally think awareness is the biggest thing. Personally, before I had this conversation, I thought it was just for old people or just with people with cancer. So if I was to give an example of my own family, is that so my grandchild is quite ill, and the conversations I've had today with yourselves, you do sound like the solution for a lot of people, especially in what they need, because that can, you know, take a lot of stress off a family.
Dad was very agitated. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, and me and my sister-in-law was there, Mum was there, and Dad couldn't communicate what he wanted to do. He wanted to get up, but he couldn't communicate why he wanted to get up. So me and the nurse helped to lift Dad, and he used to use the kind of the Zimmer frame to kind of steady himself and lean on. And so the room's probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 feet away. Mum's sitting on a sofa saying, try and tell me, what do you want? And it literally takes Dad 10 minutes to walk this 6 feet, and all he wanted to do was come and sit by Mum. That's all he wanted. And we were in tears, and the nurse was in tears as well. And it just kind of brings home how important that was. And that's something I won't forget.
Have you ever heard that story of the baby in Bethlehem who was worshipped by the angels and those wise and holy men?
This project has been emotionally heavy. What you've got here is co-creation. You've got staff working with family carers and people who care to create the best possible package for that person. And when you can involve loved ones like that, it allows them to fulfill their duty. So nobody's actually feeling the stigma of using an outside organisation. The stigma is coming from people who don't understand what the organisation is doing.
Okay, we can't increase the life. That's I believe, because that's Muslim belief. When it's already, when it's dead, is dead. When life is end, is end. But with help professionally, we can have the quality life, whatever is left after the illness.
In total, we know that we've spoken to just under 600 people. Moving forward, and in thinking about some of the recommendations based on this work, we can try to move past all of these barriers. So, for example, in thinking about developing a cohort of ambassadors and champions from the South Asian community to continue this type of work.
9 years ago, my wife died, she got bowel cancer. No life without wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
Single man, no good life.
No.
ਕੋਈ ਕਲੱਬ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼
ਉਹ
ਇਦਾਂ ਹੈ
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਾਰੇ your hub where they go for like bereavement.
It helps for people to feel less isolated, so less alone.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਣਗੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝੋਗੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਿਉਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ.
So these sessions, you can just come along to any one of them. You don't have to be referred to. You don't have to make an appointment.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We want to think about getting more younger people on board. In doing that, we can start promoting community cohesion again, bring those people back together. I feel like the communities, the generations are separated. I could speak to younger people online and ask a question on social media, but I had to go to the park to speak to the older men. It becomes difficult to have compassion in a digital world. I think that if there was a South Asian link worker, that would work really well in getting all these groups and communities together, getting the access to Compton Care, but then once they're through the door, supporting the staff to then deliver the cultural competent care that they might need.
ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਦੀ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐ ਨਾ ਰੱਖੋ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪਟਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਭੇਜਣਾ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਪਟਨ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਹ ਵਾਪਿਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਉਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੀ ਐਸਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਟਨ ਦੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੈਲਪ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਹੁਣ ਟਾਈਮ ਥੋੜਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ।
To see the project come to an end is not an option for me. I really want to see this go forward and to become actually our everyday piece of work, and that our communities do feel connected. I think there's been so much gain from this project, not only the relationships that have been developed internally in Compton, but also externally. We've been able to meet some really key influential people within the South Asian community.
There is a sense of community cohesion here in Wolverhampton. I don't know if it's similar in other areas, but I feel proud. I do. I feel really, really proud of the community here and what they've done to improve their own circumstances. The key is getting into those community groups and getting into the community, building trust and getting on the same page as so many other individuals who've got the same mission that you have to improve people's lives and make it better. There's a lot of us that are compassionate in that respect, and if you bring together a pool of compassionate people, magic happens.